The bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki caused an explosion equivalent to 15 kilotons of TNT. The radioactive gases released into the atmosphere from these blasts were 400 times less than those released by a disaster where today a massive dome stands as a reminder. Standing 354 feet high and 840 feet wide, this dome covers the remains of one of the history's most catastrophic accidents, an event so shocking that even the Soviet Union, America's greatest rival, was left in panic. Explosion equivalent to 225 tons of TNT. But what really happened to it? Let's uncover it in today's video.
Been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union at Chernobyl's Reactor 4, the scene of the total.
That explosion at a nuclear plant in the Soviet Union.
The Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant was built in Pripyat, Ukraine, about 100 kilometers away from Kyiv, the capital. During the Cold War era, the Soviet Union had aggressively expanded its nuclear energy program, constructing multiple nuclear power plants, including Chernobyl. The Chernobyl plant had 4 nuclear reactors, numbered 1, 2, 3 and 4, capable of producing 1,000 megawatts of electricity, each enough to power half of the Soviet Union's population. The 4th reactor, the one that ultimately exploded, was the last to be built and is now covered by a massive dome. Each of these reactors operated using nuclear fission, where water was heated by nuclear reactions, producing steam that drove turbines, which in turn generated electricity. Since nuclear fission is a chain reaction, once started, it cannot be easily stopped. To control the reaction, 211 control rods were inserted into each reactor. These control rods absorb the neutrons released during the reaction, slowing it down. Without these control rods, the nuclear reaction would spiral out of the control. At Chernobyl, these control rods were made of boron carbide, a material that absorbs neutron. However, the tips of these rods were made of graphite, which accelerates nuclear reactions instead of slowing them down. This flaw would later play a key role in the explosion. The nuclear reactors at Chernobyl operated at around 1600 degrees, which is about 30% of temperature of sun's surface. To prevent overheating, water constantly circulated through the reactor, just like a car engine uses coolant to stay cool. However, there was a major design flaw. If the water pump stopped for even a second, the reactors could overheat and explode. To prevent this, the plant had backup diesel generators which would start within 60 seconds in case of a power failure. However, during those 16 seconds, the water pumps would stop, creating a dangerous window of vulnerability. To solve this, engineers designed a safety system. When the reactor was shut down, it would gradually reduce power instead of stopping immediately, allowing residual electricity to keep the pumps running for 60 seconds until the diesel generators took over. While this system was installed, it had never been tested in the Reactor 4. The test had been conducted successfully on Reactor 1, 2 and 3, but the test on the Reactor 4, daring to perform the safety test, the Deputy Chief Engineer, Anatoly Dyatlov, was overseeing the process. According to safety protocols, the test was to be conducted when the reactor was producing 700 megawatts of power. However, Reactor 4 normally operated at 1000 megawatts. To slow the reactor down 32 far, causing the reactor's power to drop to just 30 megawatts, far lower than the required 700 megawatts. To increase the power back up, engineers withdrew some control rods. The power rose to 200 megawatts. But to push it higher, even more control rods were removed. At this point, only 8 out of 211 control rods were remained inside the reactor, violating the minimum safety requirement of 15 control rods. With so few control rods, the nuclear reaction accelerated uncontrollably. The power surged past 1000 megawatts, reaching several thousand megawatts. This extreme heat caused the cooling water to evaporate rapidly, leaving nothing to regulate the reactor's temperature. Suddenly, the entire reactor started vibrating violently, triggering panic into the control room. To stop the reaction, engineers pressed the emergency button, which reinserted all control rods into the reactor. But as soon as these control rods inserted into the core, disaster struck. At exactly 1:23, the force of blast was equivalent to 225 tons of TNT. For comparison, the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima released 400 times fewer radioactive gases than this explosion. The control rods should have slowed the reaction, but their graphite tips actually accelerated it. Since the reaction was already out of control, the graphite ignited a surge of power, causing the reactor's wall to explode. 2 engineers died instantly, while already began spreading within hours. The entire city of Pripyat, with 50,000 residents, was evacuated for 10 days. Soviet authorities struggled to contain the fire. Helicopters dumped 5,000 tons of sand and other materials to control the blaze. Even after the fire was extinguished, radioactive spreading across Europe, many firefighters who were exposed to these radiation died within days or months, and the long-term effects of radiation led to thousands of cancer patients. Today, a massive steel dome covers Reactor 4, preventing further radioactive leaks. Chernobyl remains one of the worst nuclear disasters in history, leaving behind a radioactive ghost town, a chilling reminder of what happens when nuclear power goes wrong. If you like my video, make sure to watch my other videos. See you in our next one.